Welcome to today's episode of Navigating Your Emotions, where we talk about how to get in touch with your emotions. Emotions. We all have them, whether we like it or not. And it seems like most of us fall on the not liking side, and the doing whatever we can to avoid them side. While no one could claim it's fun to feel emotions like fear, grief, or anger, ignoring them doesn't work. They end up causing us stress or bubbling over in inappropriate ways. We're not always encouraged to get in touch with our emotions. We strive to turn a happy face to the world, keeping up the facade displayed on our social media pages. We often feel pressure to put on a front for likes. We show people the fun vacations and the pretty food, not the crying baby or the embarrassing work meeting. It seems important to show our best selves to others and to appear strong, independent, and upbeat. We then fall into the trap of comparing our real lives with highlight reels of others on social media, all while facing pressure to keep up our own everything is great exterior. Sometimes though, these images we portray to others don't show the whole picture. We might be depressed or have a bad day or lose a job. This all leads us to potentially feel isolated from other people. So what is the importance of both understanding and sharing our emotions? You may be thinking, okay, that's great. Emotional awareness matters. But how do I become more aware? The following are some suggestions for learning more about your feelings and how to talk about them in helpful ways. Number 1. Name the emotions you experience. Often we think of the easy ones, such as anger, happiness, sadness, fear. But as we become adults, our emotions become more nuanced. Learn to identify less commonly named ones, including shock, shame, anxiety, disgust, boredom, even amusement, desperation, doubt, and many more. Use a thesaurus or search for a mood chart online to give you new ideas. Then, learn to identify your feelings correctly. We may automatically assume that we are angry if we yell, but it's possible to cover up feelings of sadness or embarrassment with things that look like anger to make us feel less vulnerable. Take the time to look below the surface symptoms and see what's really going on underneath. Then, third, track a particular emotion throughout the day. Pick a feeling and follow it. Let's say joyfulness. Jot down how many times you felt joyful throughout the day. Write notes about who you were with, what time it was, where you were, what you were doing, and how intense the emotion was. This can be a helpful exercise in learning to embrace or avoid in your daily life to help manage your feelings better. Push through and seek support when it seems difficult is the next step. If we have buried our emotions for a long time, it can be very painful to face them. Often it can seem like things are getting worse before we learn to deal with how we feel. Don't give up before you receive the healing benefits of getting more in tune with yourself. Seek help from trusted friends, counselors, religious organizations, and support groups if it seems too difficult to do alone. Now let's talk about expressing emotions in a healthy way. Once we have learned to name and track emotions, we need to learn what to do with them. Understanding our emotion may lead us to have healthy conversation with our loved ones. We can share what we have learned about ourselves to others. receiving support, and providing empathy for one another. Other ways that people deal with emotions include exercising, meditating, prayer, creating or listening to music, writing poetry, painting, or journaling. Find out what helps you to process your emotions and be as creative as you want. Now, let's take a moment to pause right now. Take a deep breath. What does your body feel like right this moment? Often we experience physical sensations that are associated with emotions, and we can learn to recognize our feeling based on our physical symptoms. Like anger is often felt between the chest and the head, while fear is usually felt between the stomach and chest. These sensations can include tightness, numbness, agitation, and nausea. Different people will have different physical sensations, so learn what your body is telling you about your emotions. Emotional awareness is an often neglected skill. Some studies show that only 1 in 3 of us has the ability to correctly assess our feeling. This is significant because our emotions usually point towards important truths about ourselves. Our feelings come from our deepest desires, hopes, needs, and goals. If we don't know what we're feeling and why, we risk leaving crucial needs and longings unmet, potentially perpetuating a cycle of anger or unhappiness. Keeping feelings hidden can also lead to emotional breakdowns. Imagine a pipe that is blocked, emotions building up like water, trying to get through to the other side. Eventually, the pipe will burst, causing chaos. Lack of emotional awareness can also lead to unhealthy ways of coping, such as addiction, overeating, negative relationships, and angry outbursts. Now, let's talk about the myth related to negative emotions. A lot of people believe that it's only healthy to have positive emotions such as happiness, joy, and contentment, but that negative emotions like fear, anxiety, or sadness are inappropriate. We need to dispel this myth if we are going to get in touch with our feelings. Anger, for example, is not inherently negative. It can show us when we have an unfulfilled need or a frustration with crossed boundaries. A person that feels angry should examine where the anger is coming from so he or she can resolve the issue. Anger becomes a problem only when it is exhibited unchecked, hurting us or those around us. If you watch the Pixar movie Inside Out, you'll have learned that sadness isn't always negative either. It can help us be more empathetic, more sensitive to the needs of others. It's not the emotions that cause problems for us, but the way they fester and burst up if we ignore them. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Navigating Your Emotions. Remember, no matter what you're feeling, you're not alone. Until next time, take care.